So you're one of 20,000 and you're working in an office building in Bangalore?
Yeah.
And you're making $3 an hour?
Yes.
Darshan moved to Australia in 2013. Today, his business, Scale X, just this year, just under $1 million profit.
Just remember that headline, from $3 an hour to $1 million profit a year.
I'd reached a point where I had maxed out my credit card. It was such a close thing.
So you made $1,500 in 3 months.
And I called the credit card company and I negotiated with them. That's when it started getting a belief in me. You know what? If I can sell 2 courses, I can sell 20. If I can sell 20, I can sell 200.
Credit cards in the hole. You're like, all right, game on now. You're a savage, man. So what happened from there?
It's a bit of a...
You make twice as much as the Prime Minister of the country that you immigrated to. Had you been to Australia before?
Never. I've never even took a flight.
Oh my God. So you're on the plane, first flight. Describe that feeling. What was it like coming into Melbourne? What's up, guys? Welcome to this very special episode. You are in for a real treat today. We have in the studio with us Darshan Chavan, who is an Indian immigrant, came out here in 2013 on a student visa and started selling door-to-door for Telstra, went on to build an outsourcing company from here in Australia that services Australian businesses, helping them lower their cost of employment. And this business today is netting Darshan just under $1 million a year. It's an extraordinary story of just grit and determination and self-talk that will really, really inspire you. Stick around all the way to the end, because right at the end, Darshan shares some really powerful insights into what separated his business from the many others in this space. And he also unpacks the real metrics around this extraordinary recurring income style of business. He is in the Fast 100 in the Australian Financial Review list. He makes twice as much as our Prime Minister, and he did it from nothing. You're going to love it. I'll see you on the other side. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. It is an absolute pleasure to have you back with us today. As you would have seen in the trailer, we have a really inspiring story. He's actually a client of ours in our business coaching program and just a terrific guy. From the moment I met Darsh, I remember saying to him, dude, we've got to amplify your story, because this is the story of somebody who came to Australia, worked his butt off, and has crushed it in business. So Darshan, welcome to the studio. Thank you for being here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing amazing, Adam and Eric, and having me here. It just feels so amazing to be here. I'm so really pumped up.
Well, you know, you've seen it you watch the pod. How does it feel walking in real life? Does it feel different?
It's been just mind-blowing. Just the professionalism, the details you guys have gone into is just phenomenal. Because I've been on other pods as well, where people are just doing it for the sake of doing it. Over here, it shows that it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And I just blown away. I just love the seats as well. As soon as I came, I just told you guys what comfy seats you guys have.
Australia's best podcast.
Yeah. Completely unofficial, self-promotion, but we'll take it.
I've seen it on the side of a bus. So.
My joke was I've seen better heads hanging out of cattle trucks than on the side of that Gold Coast bus. But the bus is actually blowing up. We've got so many texts coming in from all over the country because they've seen it on social media, and people have been texting it around, and it's fun. You know?
How's Graffiti Watch going? No vandalism on the bus
There are no
yet?
dicks on our faces yet. We're winning. But it is funny because, you know, you don't realize how many people see buses. Like, honestly, it's crazy.
Well, when you got 4 big heads like ours on them.
Yeah, all the way around. There's been no complaints yet. Anyway, Eric, how are you, mate? We just watched the soccer. You're a very happy lad this morning.
I'm very happy, full of joy at the moment. It could have been easily gone the other way. So I'm very happy today and glad to have Darshan on. Honestly, meeting you through the coaching program has been great, and your energy and what you've done in such a short period of time, being an immigrant to the country, just like I have been. We have a real connection.
Yes.
So yeah, can't wait to dig into this one.
You're all wogs on this panel. What about you, Marky Mark? How are you, buddy? You're settling into Byron, all right?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. It's been great.
Okay, good. You haven't set the backyard on fire again?
Well, it's been getting a few days of rain, so I think that's put that at ease. But yeah, no, I've been banned from burning off in the backyard.
Good stuff. I can't wait to get this story. It's going to be awesome. Darshan has built such an interesting business. The high level numbers here. Darshan moved to Australia in 2013, came here as a student, started selling door-to-door for Telstra. Today, his business, scalex.biz, that's scale-x.biz, just this year netted just under $1 million profit, which is absolutely incredible. Darshan, welcome to the pod. Give us the lowdown. What is ScaleX?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. Because for us, it was all about helping entrepreneurs. Okay, because I was an entrepreneur myself, and I was going through so many challenges, especially when it comes to scaling a business. All right, and building a team. I could see that, while I was trying to do it onshore, there were a few hurdles that I was facing. Even when I was in India as well, I used to work as an IT analyst for IBM. Okay, and I was getting paid only $3 an hour. All right, but even in spite of that, I used to have an amazing lifestyle. I used to buy some new phones. I used to take my parents out to dinner, and I used to have an amazing time. And that's when I really started exploring remote teams and the power of remote teams. That's what really blew our mind. And when we started working with a few more entrepreneurs and business owners, we could really see the business transform. Not only with regards to the profit and the revenue the business owners were able to generate, but also the time off that they were able to take. And it really had an, a ripple effect on their family, on their health, everything, where people could delegate, people could build high performance remote teams. So that's been our purpose right now, to help more business owners, more entrepreneurs to build high performance remote teams so that they can make more profits and also take more time off.
So these are Australian businesses or businesses everywhere?
Businesses usually in Australia and as well as in US, because we have a few clients in the States as well.
So you have clients in Australia and US, and you basically help them establish remote teams. And are all your staff in India that you are working with, or do you have staff in Philippines and other markets?
Most probably Philippines. All right, that's where the time zone works pretty well for the Australian clients as well. And we do have a few positions in India as well. So it just comes down to what particular positions they are after, because what I've seen is in Philippines, people really specialize when it comes to customer support, data entry, all right, and these kind of roles. Whereas in India, it's more towards the tech aspect of it. That's where it works really wonders. And but usually predominantly it's just Philippines.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. We'll loop back to ScaleX and we'll hear this incredible story. Just for top level numbers, how many employees do you have out there now?
Currently, we have around 85 to 90. Yep.
85 to 90 employees that are placed inside of other people's businesses, yes. Right? Yep. That you basically have recruited for them, trained and managed and do all that. So we'll get into how that service offering works and what kind of clients are using you, what it costs per hour, all those types of things, and talk about some real case studies in a moment. But I'm really interested in your origin story of coming out here, because I know, and I said this to you when I first heard your story, Darsh, we need to put a spotlight on this because Australia was built by immigrants, right? I've got two of them sitting either side of me and one here as well. And Australia, unfortunately, still, I think, has this sort of unhealthy attitude at times towards people coming into the country. But it's the guys and girls that come into this country that have worked for $3 an hour and know how hard it is outside of this incredible nation that we get to call home, that come here and build things and create jobs and buy homes and have families, pay taxes. And I know that this will be heard. I texted you actually, didn't I, during the week?
Yes.
When I posted about your $1 million, that you just made $1 million profit in your business for the first time ever. I posted on my Instagram, and I have this young guy called Virat. And Virat, I think, is in New Delhi, India. And he texted me and he says, "Is that guy Indian?" And I said, "Yeah, he's Indian." And he goes, "Did he go to Australia and start from nothing?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Oh my God, that's so inspiring." And I screenshotted this DM train and I sent it to Darsh, and I said, "That's Darsh, why you need to put a spotlight on this, because there's a young immigrant that's just arrived from Australia, maybe from India, maybe from some other part of the world, or they're listening to this from that part of the world, and you are a ray of hope and inspiration." So I can't wait to unpack what you've got to say. So let's go back to the beginning. Yep. Where were you living in India? What made you, what's the narrative like for an Indian family that's going to send out their son to Australia to study? Like, what's that whole perception like in India?
Yeah, it's an awesome one, because especially when I was about to move to Australia, it was around like 2009, 2010. That's when I got the idea about that, okay, I need to immigrate. All right, I need to go to a better country for a better lifestyle. But what used to happen was at that time, the media was putting a bit of a negative perception towards Australia because there were some racial attacks that were happening against Indians and everything. And when I started to speak about it, people were a bit more hesitant. They're like, oh, why do you want to go to Australia? People can be a bit racist, they can hurt you and everything. But I was not of that perception. There's always good, there's always bad as well in every aspect of it. And for me, while I was working in IBM, I bumped into a lot of personal development. Like I started reading more Brian Tracy stuff, Tony Robbins stuff and everything. And while I was working in IBM, I kept a goal to be one of the highest performing staff member over there in my project of 45 members. And within a 1 year, at that time, we didn't have Loom, anything as such. I developed a new method of knowledge transfer. Whenever people used to come to work, they used to get help from other teammates to do the work. Whereas with me, what I did was there was a software called as Camtasia. I used that to record the screen, and I created a training program for everyone in the entire project. So that helped me get a number 1 rating or something of that sort in IBM. And that's where it started building my belief that, you know what, I can set and achieve goals. If I go through it, if I make things happen. That's where it started building everything for me. And over there, while I was working, I got a master's in business administration, in correspondence. That's how I did it. And I got some good scores over there. And then I applied for Monash University over here. Like saying that, okay, let me give it a try. And the biggest turning factor was Monash University gave me a scholarship. Like they gave me a $10,000 scholarship saying that, we can see that you've done something really good stuff with your work and you already done your master's as well over there. So we would like to offer the scholarship. So that was a trigger point for me as well. But the biggest challenge is, Adam, when you come from any overseas country, we don't have HECS. All right. You need to take massive amounts of student debt. And for me as well, my parents had to mortgage their house. All right. The house that they were living in, they had to submit all the paperwork and everything to the particular bank. Only then I got a loan for almost $50,000. So there was a lot of things on the line. And that was an awesome journey. So I knew that, okay, my parents have mortgaged their house and I've got almost a $50,000 worth of debt, which I need to pay off. And that's how the journey started.
I just want to really pause on that because it's your reality. This is normal. But the average Aussie is growing up in a country of 25 million people and most people here are fine, right? You've got to really be disciplined to die of starvation here. You can just jump on the Albo scholarship and you're fine. Where were you living in India?
I was living in Bangalore.
So in Bangalore, and you work in IBM. How many people are working for IBM in Bangalore?
Whoa, at least 20,000 people.
Okay, so you're one of 20,000 and you're working in an office building in Bangalore?
Yeah.
And you're making $3 an hour?
Yes.
Just so everyone understands, that's, I've done some calculations. Right. It's $6,240 a year.
Annual salary?
Annual salary, okay. $6,240.
And so your parents' house, if you don't mind me asking, because I want people to understand, right, the gravity and the significance of getting 50 grand and coming to Australia to invest in your son, right? That's a big deal. So how much was the house worth roughly?
It might have been close to around $300,000 at that time. Yeah, but they had to put everything on the line.
Yes, yeah, that's 20% of the value of the home to send you to Australia, the other side of the world where there's this fear that you're going to get beat up in a Melbourne, train. Yeah. Really, I mean, that's what was happening at the time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you come down here and you get your 50 grand from mum and dad. It's an amazing story to me. I think this is incredible.
Yeah.
And you're making $3 an hour when you left, and that's normal, right?
Big time.
But you were happy on $3 an hour in Bangalore?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like it's for me, it equates to around 30 or 35,000 rupees at that time. And as a 23, 24-year-old guy, it was good for me. All right. I still remember buying a new HTC phone at that time. And I used to have so much fun. Man, I can buy an HTC phone. I can buy mom and dad clothes. And it was so amazing. All right. I didn't worry about how much IBM was making. Okay. Because I was living an amazing life. But I knew that there was something internal in me that I can do something better.
So you, with this year that you've just closed, I haven't got my phone, but you could calculate it. You went from $6,000 a year in annual income to $1 million.
Yeah.
It's,
So it's nearly
it's 160 times. I've already done the
160,
counts.
And what's the time period? Let's go.
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah,
160
years.
Yeah.
Look, I've just got to say, like, if there's anyone sitting at home thinking that they've got it tough or that they have an excuse, you really don't. You really don't. Sometimes
But that's the thing with that in Australia. We just get so used to the embarrassing amount of wealth in this country, and we complain. Because look, it's hard to judge because it's all a lot of people have ever known.
But take us back to, like, I've never been to India, and I know a lot of people that I know that have, and they try and explain it to me. And for me, it's very unbelievable. So tell me a little bit, how was it living in India? Where you were living, obviously you were doing really well working at IBM, but what's the majority of people living like there?
It's a bit of a, even when I go back to India now, it's like an explosion to your senses. Okay, but for me, I just love it. Every time I go to India, I just feel so much more grounded. Because they always say that, right, you will start complaining about your shoes until you see someone without a feet. And that's what I experience when I go to India. I see people hawking on the streets without any slippers. But just the hustle culture that's happening over there is just so unbelievable. And every time I go there, I feel myself so grateful, so appreciative, because I can see that this is where I came from. And even when I was in India, I didn't know anything better. All right, what would be available in other countries, what used to happen. I used to watch a lot of videos, and I used to love the matches between India and Australia. Okay, the Ashes and everything. That's why I was like, okay, I want to go to Australia, look at the beaches and everything. And India is still amazing. All right, when I lived there as well, my family was really good. Even though we came from a lower middle class family, my parents supported us really well. And we used to live in a kind of a joint family system. My aunt used to live with me, my grandma used to live with me, and my brother and everyone. So the family values were absolutely top notch. And I had so much fun as well. But I knew that I need a better lifestyle. That's what I was coming for.
I think that joint family system is such a massive point. And I think that's something we lack in Australian culture. Right? And doesn't
We're
matter.
losing it. We're losing it. We had it, but it's been losing it.
It doesn't matter if you're earning $3 an hour or $30 an hour, but that joint family system always remains, and there's always people lifting each other up.
That's how you guys are doing so well here in Australia, is that people are prepared to live together in the same house
And invest together.
And like when I was in LA, the Jewish families were communities, and they would invest together, work together as teams and as packs, whereas Australians are very individualistic. It's all about do it on your own or you're not a real man, and it's so limiting. And that's why, immigrants do so well. They come down here and just crush.
Yeah. So what did you do, like, the day that you left to Australia? Like, how did it all happen? Where did you arrive?
And can I ask a question? Like, so you're in India, you're earning $3 an hour. How does the seed of inspiration to come to Australia, like we kind of touched on it, but not, like, where did it?
Yeah, where did the decision come from? And then we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So like, what
That's
was
a really
happening?
cool
You're
story.
working in IBM, and then one day you go, I'm going to go to Australia and study.
Yeah, I was sitting in a bus with one of my workmates as well. All right. And he was studying for an IELTS exam. IELTS is an English language exam that you need to take if you want to qualify and come here as an international student. And he was studying and I was studying as well. Okay. And I asked him, hey, by the way, are you planning to go overseas? And where are you planning to go? He said, I'm planning to go to Australia, because I was more inclined towards going to the UK at that time. I didn't have anything in my mind in my Australia. And he said, why are you going to UK? All right, the weather isn't that good. All right. And also, you might not be able to get a permanent residency over there. Whereas in Australia, it's a bit more easier. And why don't you have a chat with one of my friend who currently lives in Melbourne? And he introduced me to one of his friend as well who used to live in Melbourne. And I had a chat with him, and he talked pretty good things as well. Yeah, there is a bit of a hustle in the beginning, but later on, the beaches are amazing. The girls are amazing, all those things. And that's what goes into your mind as well when you start thinking as a 23, 24-year-old guy. You're like, oh, I'm going to have so much parties. I'll just go have so much fun there. Okay, yeah, and that's how you start building a picture.
Right? Girls are universal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
So that's how it started. And then so from there, so when you made the decision to come, what was it like? Because I want to get the business story, but what was it like? Had you been to Australia before?
Never. I've never even I took a flight. This was my first flight.
Oh my God. So you're on the plane, first flight, and where did you land?
Melbourne.
Okay, so you're coming into, probably freezing and grey, but still. So you're coming into Melbourne. Describe that feeling. What was it like coming into Melbourne from
It was so cool. But I think so that there was an incident that happened, all right, while I was moving from my house to the airport in Bangalore. And that's what gave me a bit more confidence that I might be able to lead a better life over here. And at that time, what happened was while we were commuting from my house to the airport to take my flight to Australia, there was a massive traffic jam, okay? Because they had dug up the streets everywhere. And and traffic could just go one way through. And I was already getting late for my flight in the night. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to miss my ticket to Australia now. And something in me stirred up. And what I did was I just got off from the car and I stopped the traffic from the other side. And I made sure the traffic from my side starts moving. And I'm like, I don't know what's exactly going on over here. But I could see that I was taking a lead. I was taking an action, not just sitting there passively, not doing anything. And as soon as I came and sat back, my mom and my auntie is like, what's going on with you? Why did you do that? What if someone had knocked you out? And I'm like, I don't care. I have to go to Australia. Like, this is my flight, so I might get delayed. But somehow something triggered in my mind that, I think so I can be proactive. I can take action.
That is such a good story.
So
you land in that, you land in Australia, you're wheeling the thing. Like what we, like, you don't really just this one dude, I'm guessing, like that you got introed to.
Yeah.
Did he meet you at the airport or anything? Or?
No, he did not. I had to just take a cab from there and come to his place. But I just so thank him so much even to this day, because he gave me a temporary accommodation for almost 2 weeks. So in the meantime, I can try to find a place or a room which I can come and settle down. But as you said, it was so chilly. And I'm like, oh my God, my hands are freezing. What's
Especially
happening?
for you, for an Indian, like he's used to the warmth, right?
Yes.
Welcome to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And so that was your life in Australia from 2013.
Yes.
And then you went and got, what was your first job here? So you're studying, tell us about your studies and your job, and then we'll dive into your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. For me, I wasn't interested in studies. All right. I knew that from day one, but that was my ticket to get a permanent residency. Okay. But having said that, I think so I just attended university only for the first 6 months. But later on, I really took the street smart thing to heart. And I'm like, you know what, I want to be street smart. So let me spend more time on the streets of Melbourne. Okay. Knock on people's door, trying to sell them Telstra. And that's how it started. But I could see that most of my friends as well who came with me, they started working in Coles, 7-Eleven, Kmart and everything. And that's where I could find a bit more resistance, defense to people. People were like, why are you doing door-to-door sales? All right, especially straight commission selling. You make a sale, you get paid. You don't make a sale, you don't get paid. And people were calling me nuts. You're weird. Why would you do this? All right, why don't you come and work with us in a 7-Eleven? Why don't you come and work with us in Coles? This is selling as well. But I knew that that was just a transactional selling, not a transformational selling or influential selling. And for me, like even while I was coming to Australia, I started reading books about Robert Kiyosaki. Okay. And what he used to tell us was, if your goal is to start a business, you got to be exceptionally good in sales and marketing. If you are not good in sales and marketing, it'll really be challenging for you to succeed in business. So for me, when I first came here, no one was offering me a good sales job, because I had no experience in sales, nothing at all. I was working as an IT analyst. So the only job which I ended up getting was straight commission selling in Telstra, where you have to knock on at least 100 to 200 doors every single day to make a sale.
Businesses?
No, homes, because we were selling home plans. Yeah.
Wow. So like a home telephone?
Yeah, home telephone, Foxtel, internet.
Wow, so you're not going to do it. Hi, how you doing?
How are you doing? And at that time, TPG was offering the cheapest plans as well. And
How did that go for you?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was one of the best experiences I've ever had, I guess. I would do it even to this date, because I think so it helped me build that thick skin that you need in business. All right, especially the persistence, the resilience, everything. And more importantly, when you are trying to pitch, someone smashes the door on your face. Man, that's the best feeling. You're trying to pitch, but it's so offending at times. But I'm like, okay, cool. All right. I used to just go on to the next door.
I in my former business reliable education, one of my favorite students was an Indian who came out, same as you, student, and he started his e-com journey selling on Amazon. His name's Sachin, and he became one of our 7 biggest sellers. And when he got here, he was like, he did the course, and they learned about, you have to split test brand names and just see what resonates with people. So he went to Chadstone Shopping Centre in Melbourne. Wow. He figured, that's where all the shoppers are. So I'm going to stand there without getting any permission with a clipboard and just ask people, which of these 2 logos do you like better? Just like a random Indian dude just going, his wife and kids are standing in the background. He goes, we're trying to start a business. We want to know which one of those. And people were like, I like that one better, and he said it was the best thing as well. He eventually got kicked out of the shopping centre.
Yeah, until he got kicked out.
Yeah. But I just love the hustle, right? Like he said, mate, there was no option. I'm not going home until I'm successful.
Yeah.
And I started door-to-door sales. I've got a very good friend who's very successful today, billionaire today. He started door-to-door sales as well. It's so good for you.
Time after time after time on this podcast, we hear a guest mention Tony Robbins, Kiyosaki, Brian Tracy. It's like so many people knock and bag these seminars and these gurus, but nearly every single person that comes on the podcast mentions one of those guys.
Yeah, when we were doing door-to-door sales, they'd drive us out to the suburbs. But while we were driving, they would play Jim Rohn tapes in the vans to get us all pumped up.
Yes.
And it is so good for learning to handle rejection, because as adults, I think so many people don't start their entrepreneurial dreams because they're afraid of being rejected or they're afraid of failure. Whereas I'm like, by the time I got to 22, I was like, failure, rejection, bring it. At that age, that shit ain't fatal. I'll just keep going.
I just realized a lot of people are into kind of, today the depression and anxiety and all these things are kind of on the rise, and people are getting therapy and talking through their issues. And I've done all of that. But it's almost, you've got to pay for all those services. Sales is probably one of the best forms of therapy where you get paid to go through the therapy.
100%.
Really, because you learn so much about yourself when you're getting a door slammed on your face. All your childhood rejection moments come back up.
How did you keep going though? Right?
Yeah.
How did you, you're an immigrant, how good was your English back then?
English was pretty good because English is still was almost like a second language for me, because even in India we speak a lot of languages. I can speak 5 languages and I can understand around 6 of them. But for me, what really changed was, I still remember it was December 2013. That's when I really got this door-to-door sales job. And I had almost 2 months of holidays as well, during Christmas break. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about sales. Who's the best at that time who can teach me sales? And that's the time when Jordan Belfort had come up with straight line persuasion. Okay. And I just started watching his videos. And then what I did was I took an oath that, okay, from December 23rd till Jan 5th, I'm going to lock myself in the library room. All right. Still go out for sleeping, eating and everything. But I'm going to make sure I finish this 10 modules of Jordan Belfort straight line persuasion. So I took a 200-page notebook.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. And that's when I started learning about tonality, how to really close and everything. And within a span of 6 to 8 months, I was able to beat most of the top people who were working there from last 3 years. Okay. And I was like, man, this thing works.
Were they all Indian guys or they all different?
Most of them were Indians. Almost 80% of them were Indians. And the remaining 20-30% were Pommies, from England and Ireland as well. But yeah, the 70% used to be Indians.
It goes to show you, that it's, the immigrants that are doing these jobs, like he's saying, there are Pommies and Indians selling, door to door for Telstra, not many local, Australians. It's the same thing in Canada. It's so interesting. We there's a stigma, like you said before, around immigrants and what they're doing. And I went to Canada last year and we haven't been back since before COVID. Mm-hmm. And there was a big influx of Indians immigrating to Canada. And they own so many businesses now, right, in our hometown. And they're buying property. And like you said, they're living together with multiple people and they're outbidding people in the property market, because they're living together and they're living in their ways and their values. And then us Australians and Canadians are looking and going, oh, well, they shouldn't be doing that. Like, what do you mean they shouldn't be doing that? They're the ones taking your jobs or taking your property, and they want to put in the work. So this is,
well, let's just change the word taking to earning.
Yeah, earning. Sorry, yeah, earning. But
Working.
like, where does that ethic come from? Is it from going without and seeing how poor people can live, and then coming here and embracing that and being grateful for it and going, I owe my parents $50,000 and they've backed, their son to come to another country. Like, where does that come from? Because even through, our coaching program and stuff, like, the people just get stuck, right? With not making a decision, with not taking action and moving forward. So I'm just trying to, dig deep in where that actually comes from for you, because you're saying, oh, when someone smashes a door in your face, I love it, ha 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 ha. Like, that's someone's worst nightmare. Most people's worst nightmare. So where does that come from? Like, you feel like there's no fear of judgment, I feel, from you.
Yeah. For me, two things. The first and foremost thing was I was very competitive, okay, from day one. And in my team, there used to be almost like 3 or 4 guys, including me. And I always wanted to be number one. Okay. And my sales manager at that time, he was the smartest guy. He used to get just the top performers in his group. And all he used to do was pitch each of us against each other. And he knew that. That's how we were competitive. And I could see that yesterday, if Sunny is number one, it used to drive me nuts. And I'm like, how come Sunny is number one? I got to be number one. And I used to start knocking at 8 o'clock in the morning and until 7 p.m. to be number one the next day. So that's how there's more about the competitive nature of me as well, because money was secondary. I knew that money is going to come. If I tried to be number one or number two, the money is going to come. And the second thing for me was that fear of losing that home. My parents becoming homeless.
Stakes, real stakes in the game. Yeah. There's 2 books I want to just mention here quickly for listeners. If you want to understand India better, I love Indian literature, and 2 of my favorite fiction books. There's one's based on a true story. One is called Shantaram. If you haven't read Shantaram, it is my favorite novel of all time. It's written by an Australian called David Roberts, I think it is. It's about an Australian guy who escaped Goulburn maximum security prison. He did armed robberies. It's a true story. For drug. He stole for his drug addiction. He escaped over the prison wall to India and ended up working in the Bombay Mafia. And it's an incredible novel, and it's fantastic. And it'll take you to India in a way that is you would love it. Every Indian I've recommended says, oh, it's the best book ever. And the second one is called White Tiger. If you haven't, they've made a movie out of that.
Yes.
But that won the Booker Prize, and it's an amazing book called White Tiger. And it's about a driver who comes from the poorest caste in India, and his whole family put together money to save up enough for him to get driving lessons so that he can maybe become a driver for a rich person. And the book opens saying, here I am in my dream job. I'm driving for a really wealthy man. My life is amazing. And it's incredible that in 2 days from now, I'm going to cut his throat and kill him. And that's the opening page. Wow. And you're like, oh my God, how is it? Wow. And then this incredible novel unfolds. So 2 amazing Indian literature books that will just help you understand Indian hustle and culture and what it's like.
Yeah. Eric, I love your question before in relation to what drove you. And you mentioned wanting to be the best, wanting to be number one. But can we dig more into that? Like, where did that come from? Because when I was doing land sales, I always had that same thing that I wanted to be the best and I had to be number one. And when I dug deeper, it didn't come from a positive place when I grew up, right? So I trying to turn something that was negative into a positive. Can you tell me a little bit more? Have you looked into where that desire to become number one or be the best come from? And can you shed some more light on that?
Absolutely. The most important thing was for me, and even like going back to like the mindset in India as well, sometimes is there is always a way out. Okay, I didn't know that until I knew that, like, this is a core driver for most of the people. There's a particular term as well, sometimes they use in India or in Hindi, it's called as Jugaad, G-U-J-A-D. That means to say that you're resourceful. You figure a way out, okay? You just don't accept no for an answer, okay? No matter what happens, I'm going to figure the way out. It's going to be worth it, and it's going to happen. All right. Even though you might not be having the resources, but that doesn't matter. You'll just keep going for the resourcefulness. What are the different ways I can figure out? And even to my team right now these days, when they say that I don't think so we can get these many sales, that's what drives me. I'm like, okay, let me show you how we can get more sales. So that ability to prove people wrong matters a lot. And one more thing that really triggered me at that time was a few of my friends or relatives also saying that, okay, I think so his parents might have done a mistake by pledging the house. I don't think so he would be able to succeed. I'm like, oh man, I love this. Let me prove you wrong. Okay, let me show you how it's done and let me tell you how I will be able to succeed. So no matter what the rejections are, no matter what the hardships are, and just to remember one particular day or a week in Melbourne in Jan 2014, I still remember that was one of the hottest days in summer in Melbourne at that time. And we used to knock using an iPad at that time, but the temperature hit almost 45 degrees and I could see a red thermometer on the iPad. That was the first time I saw that, and it says that, okay, you can't use your iPad anymore because it's too hot. So all I had to do was just chuck in the iPad, open my notebook, and still start knocking on people's door. One after another. And I could feel the heat, like my scorching my ears. I still can see that so vividly clear. And to be honest with you, I used to buy the $10 Kmart shoes. And the Kmart shoes also used to have holes in them. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. Already the shoes have holes or my iPad is shutting down. I'll still knock on people's door just with a notebook. And yeah, it was an amazing journey.
To be fair, that would have been a mild winter's day for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it used to be opposite as well. During my heavy winters in Melbourne, my hand used to become like a rubber. Okay, I couldn't even sign sheets of people, but still you keep rubbing your hands and make sure. At that time, sometimes we used to sign the documents from people like hardcore paper sheets. Yeah. But the challenge is I can't sign because the hand has become like a rubber. Yeah, it was amazing.
That story, there's another good book I'll give you guys. It's Choose Your Enemies Wisely, and it's by Patrick Bet-David, and he talks about the importance of great enemies. Yes. And it sounds like you had some people on the FU list for sure, which is great. So let's dive into the ScaleX story because we've already been going for 3/4 of an hour, and there's so much I want to learn because I'm so curious about people who come here and just crush from other countries. But I really want to dive into the ScaleX story because it's quite an extraordinary story. You were in the BRW fast growing.
Yeah, AFR 100 fastest growing startups, and we get ranked at the 66th position at that time.
So yeah, not that you're competitive or anything, hey Dash. What the fuck, bro? 66, get your shit together.
Finish in top 10 soon.
Yeah, so you're 66th fastest growing company in Australia according to the AFR list, which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
But you came here as an immigrant, started ScaleX. So let's dive into that. So how did ScaleX start? I know it started in 2020. So talk us through what you were doing at the time when you decided to start it and what was the impetus for starting it and what was the origin story?
Yeah. For me, Adam, as I discussed with you guys, I was good in sales, all right? But at the same time, that became an enemy for me to scale. Because again, it was more about my negative ego, that I'm the one who can do the best work. All right. No one else can do as good of a work as me. No one can sell as good as me. Okay. And this used to be my biggest challenge. Okay. And it was so crippling. I could not delegate at all to people. Okay. I used to work 18 hours, 20 hours. It doesn't matter if you work 18, 20 hours on a high value task, but sending emails, sending text messages, creating Excel sheets. And these were the biggest challenges for me. And every time I tried to let go, I couldn't. Okay. And it was holding me so much back. And I'm like, man, I want to grow the business. I want to grow it to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures. But the challenge is I had only this much limited amount of time. Okay. And that's when I really got to have a chat with one of my mentor. And he really talked to me about the challenges of not delegating, not outsourcing, not building a team, and how it would impede my goals, how it impede my growth and all those aspects of it. So yeah, as they say sometimes, your biggest mess can become your best message. That's where it all started for me. And I started to overcome a few of those limiting beliefs. And when I saw building a remote team, having a virtual assistant, okay, having an admin support, how much it can free up my time to focus on really high value tasks and activities, it really blew my mind. And I'm like, man, this is like a game changer.
You said something there that I hope people didn't miss. You said your biggest mess can become your biggest message. That's really powerful. And because so many people have messes in their lives right now or going through real hardship right now. But when you zoom out, you realize that like your challenge, your stress, your drama became the foundation for your future $1 million income because you solved that mess. And now you offer the solution to others, which is great. So what were you doing at that time? Because you said you were struggling with growth in your business. What was the business before it was Scale X? What were you not delegating? What were you doing? What was the business? What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this podcast. Now, I wanted to let you know about something very special that is happening on Wednesday, the 21st of August. We are doing an AI webinar with our podcast sponsor, Early Bird AI. And the reason we're doing this webinar is because there has been some significant shifts forward in the world of AI, and in particular, what is available for you as a small business owner right now in this space. Myself, I've been using this in 2 of my portfolio companies. The impact is profound, and if you are in business, you are going to want to see this. We've been doing implementations at Early Bird for medical centers, for retailers, for e-commerce sellers, for all kinds of companies right across the spectrum, from early companies that are just starting up to large publicly traded companies. So guys, if you are in business and you do not want to be left behind by artificial intelligence, get to this emergency briefing that's happening on Wednesday, the 21st of August at 7 p.m. Just go to unemployable.com.au/events. That's unemployable.com.au/events. The webinar is completely free. We're going to have Chris from Early Bird in, especially just to brief everyone in our community about what's happening in the space. It is going to be an amazing session, and it's totally free, only for Unemployable listeners. With that said, let's get back to the pod.
Yeah, we were selling courses at that time as well. Again, like to aged care centers, disability centers, and everything. So it was going good because I was the one who was selling it often as well. But that's when we started building the remote team. We started hiring a few people and see how it's going to work, what's going to happen, and everything.
So just tell us about that business, because I just want to know so you're selling courses to aged care.
Yeah, to people who work in aged care centers, like support workers and these kind of people.
What kinds of courses?
Like diploma in community services, like, said diploma in childcare services, all these kind of courses, which when people buy these courses, they can get a pay rise, they can get a promotion.
So how did you make the courses?
Nah, we partner with different training companies.
Okay, so you were a sales organization.
Exactly.
So you started a sales organization selling registered training organization courses to these. So you offered the sales layer.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many of you were there?
We were around my company. What do you mean to say? We were just around 6 or 7 people at that time. And that was the biggest challenge.
How did you get into that business?
Because for me as well, as soon as I finished my Telstra career, I met my business partner, in one of the Tony Robbins seminars way back in 2016.
Good old Tony.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we bumped into each other, and we knew that, if we can walk on fire, I think so we can do business together as well.
So but I'm really curious about this because it's connecting the dots backwards. So you meet this dude, is he an Indian guy or an Aussie guy? Indian guy. So 2 Indian dudes meet at a Tony Robbins event, you walk on fire. Awesome. But then where did this business opportunity arise? Because so many people listening to this are in this place of, how do you get into a business opportunity? Mm-hmm. How did you get into that space of selling courses to aged care?
Big time. Because what happened was there was one of a common friend, who did own an RTO. And the biggest challenge with him was he was really good in compliance. He was really good in paperwork and everything. But the challenge was he struggled a lot in sales and marketing. Okay. And that's when he asked us, would you be able to mentor me? Would you be able to teach me how you do that? And we tried to kind of, explore with him. And he's like, you know what? It's too much of an headache. Why don't you do this for me? Okay. And that's exactly how it started, where we started selling his courses.
So for those listening, RTO means a registered training organization. So these are training companies that have created courses that are registered with the government that give you credits and enable you to get pay rises when you do them. So through your network, this is what I'm driving at.
Exactly.
So you go to an event, you meet your co-founder. Through the two of you, you've got this one guy who's got this registered training organization, but he can't sell. No. And so you guys go, well, we can sell, he can't sell, we'll partner with you. And you started selling his stuff.
100%.
And so you're just on a commission, I assume.
Yes.
And then did the business grow into other providers, to other course providers?
Big time.
Okay. And then that got you to the point where you're like, okay, I'm not scaling my sales business enough, which led to you starting your outsourcing business.
Huge. Yeah, so because we had every other departments as well. That's when we started constructing like customer support team, like customer success team as well. Because what we could see that was there was a massive gap in the market. Sometimes the training companies were really good in enrolling the people, but they could not finish them. The reason being, they are so busy with the compliance aspect of it because it's a very heavily audited industry. And we could clearly see that. And even what I did was at that time, I used to go and study the 1-star and 2-star reviews of my competitors. And the biggest common factor I could see was poor support, poor help. No one is there to help me. So what we started doing was we started investing heavily in the customer success team, customer support team, and unbelievable. And because we were able to do it for a very affordable price in Philippines, it was really mind-blowing. People used to love our service. They used to refer us. They used to buy more courses from us. That's when we could really see that how much a remote team can help a business scale.
Yeah, and this is the real fine points for the people listening at home. How do these life-changing business deals that have got you, as we said, to $1 million profit a year now, which so few businesses get to, it comes from going to where the things up
and being open, right? I think like one of the things that I wrote down before in big letters was that random person on the bus, I think, that told you about Australia.
Yes.
Okay, random people are popping into everyone's lives every single day, but you were open to that possibility and that opportunity, and you can put yourself into these rooms and into the courses and into the events, but you have to have that open frequency. And that's
very,
something that
very
you've got.
important, Mark.
Yeah.
What you're saying right now is there are people that turn up at these live events and stand on the wall and don't say hello to anybody. And then there are people that turn up, because I hear this so many times, and it's not until we get a guest on the pod and unpack their journey that they can connect the dots of actually how they got to where they are. And it's that being open, and you're just like all guns blazing, I'm going to win when I come to Australia.
It's being open, and it's confidence. You got to have that confidence. You know, I've been telling a lot of people as of like, you got to recognize your own value. You probably hear me, tripping on the calls. A lot of people don't back themselves. They feel like they haven't done enough. Their story's not good enough. I haven't made enough money. No, like, why are people going to listen to me? And building that confidence up over time and literally doing I said it last night on the call, a capability statement, a capability document of what you are capable of and what you have done and what you have completed. So if you know you're going to an event and it's coming up and you want to be shaking people's hands and you need to build that confidence, do that, read it out to yourself, put it on your, mirror in your ensuite as an example, or in your bathroom, read it back to yourself. Very, very important. Because you could be open-minded, but if you still need to shake their hand, you got to look them in the eye. You got to say, this is who I am. This is my name. This is what I've done. This is why you need to be talking to me.
Eric, I suffer from the exact same thing you just mentioned. Like, I think when you approached me one day, Adam, saying, let's do a course or a pod, or let's even do the coaching. I'm like, but who am I to be talking to people? Like, I suffer from the exact same thing. Like, I think everybody does from time to time.
What Eric's saying is very powerful about that, sitting down and unpacking your zone of genius and your experience and your skills, because we're so focused on what we're not good at and putting ourselves in the pit and everybody else on the pedestal. We just had this experience with our business coaching program that you're a part of. We're getting more and more inquiries every week now with people wanting to come in and be part of it. Yes. And I said to Eric, we need to create a brochure that just explains your background and my background. And so I did mine first. And what I said to Eric is, I want to actually publish the deals that I've done, so you can see the properties that I've bought and renovated, and what I bought them for, what I sold them for, what they're worth today if I still own them, photos, the story, the address, businesses I've started, how I started, what it does, where you can look it up online.
Huge.
And I did it. right? And it was like 12 pages just on my background. And then I said, all right, Eric, your turn. And it wasn't until Eric put it all out in one document that he went, holy shit, I've actually done a lot of stuff. Like this is a guy with
very important
with a business over $100 million, but then he's got 3 others that are 8 figures as well. So, and his friends have been saying to him for the longest time, Eric, dude, start fucking coaching.
Tell your story, right?
Tell your story. Get out there in the world. And he's like, no, I mean, like I'm, you know, what you know, and I'm like, brother, like, you know. And it wasn't until now that document's 43 pages, but something like 30 pages of it is, and people who've received it so far have gone, holy shit.
Yeah.
And everybody though, honestly, with you, if you really unpack everything, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good concept you mentioned, Adam and Eric and Mark as well. Because what I did was, for me, I wasn't like this, as especially coming from a middle class family, all right, and the upbringing and everything was so much more different. I had massive self-esteem issues. Okay, heavy, low self-esteem, low confidence and everything. But for me, I could see that I heard a concept called as brag book. Okay, it's not to kind of show to others, but to yourself. Like this is something which I started doing from last 8 years. I have a file with me, okay, with the pictures as well as what I achieved, what I done, everything. So every time I try to achieve a goal, or I'm feeling down, or I'm going to an event where I need to speak with, just today morning, just coming to the podcast today, I was going through my brag book. On a file, I have everything noticed where like my top 20 achievements, like my top 25 wins I've had. Okay. And every time I just go through that and I just feel that feelings. All right. That, wow, I'm a freaking awesome man. I don't need to hesitate. Okay. I have an amazing story to tell to people as well. So just going through that brag book builds so much more confidence and self-esteem.
You make twice as much as our Prime Minister.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah, you do. You make twice as much as the Prime Minister of the country that you immigrated into.
You're in the one.
Well done.
You're in the 1%. You're in the 1%.
Yeah, well done.
Like
That's amazing.
when you start thinking of that, right? Like what 1% is, you know, 1 out of every 100 people. You know, like you look at that from where you were to where you are now.
It's 1% here.
Here,
the 0.1 or 1% in India. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a great tip though, Dash, and everybody watching this. I really want you to hear what Dash said, because we are so focused and really, really good at beating ourselves up and focusing on our failures, and really, really bad at highlighting and building us. And that was, you know, we spoke about in a recent pod about the inner child work. And and I said, you know, like I went back to my inner child where I was rejected and teased mercilessly because of my teeth, and my own dad used to tease me. And I went through this regression therapy or child therapy, and I went back and said, from now on, I will be my own inner child's best champion. I will build that child up. I will tell him he's amazing. I will be the father to me that I wish I had all along in terms of support. And that's really what you're saying, is building it up yourself, taking responsibility for your own self-esteem.
We're always concentrating on other people, right? Through social media, we're comparing ourselves. We're going, wow, like these guys are on a bus. You know what I mean? Like people are going to look at that and go, wow, that's amazing. That's cool. Other people are going to be like, look at these wankers, right? But that inspires us even more.
And both would be
like
right.
those, right. But again, it's putting yourself out there and being okay, you know, that you will be judged, and be okay that people are going to be like, oh, what's your story? Oh, is that true? Is it not true? But the biggest thing is always being true to yourself, right? And for me, moving forward and what we've been doing, that's been massive, you know? And that's why I think you and I resonate a lot together.
Yeah.
And you message me a lot just based on my story and your story, because they're similar in certain ways, right? So
yeah, because for me, like it was all about putting myself out there, like Eric. Even when I got a chance to speak on TEDx, I was resisting it the most. I'm like, oh, I look dark on TEDx. I don't know what would I say, and what if I stutter? Okay, so many limiting beliefs. And there was a point when I said, no, I'm not going to do the TEDx. I was about to even draft an email telling them that I'm going to quit. I'm not going to do it anymore, because there's so much more fear of judgment, what people would say, and if the message will be right, or am I wearing the right clothes for the TEDx talk? So many things that keeps happening in your mind. But yeah, it's just going through that discomfort, going through that pain, going through that challenges, and then still showing up no matter what. I think so that makes the biggest difference.
So Brett, I want to bring you back now to day one of I'm going to get to ScaleX, but before ScaleX, day one, you're there with your new mate from Tony Robbins. You both all doing your power move. Yes. You get your goals. Make your move. Right. You've done all that. You're all that jazzed up. You found this dude who can't sell for shit and you're going to go sell. Yeah. Day one, you got a pitch deck, an iPad or something.
No, I just had taken like a printout and laminated it from Officeworks, and I had no idea what I was doing as well at that time. And I started approaching childcare centers.
So when you say approach,
yeah,
what does approach mean? You go knock on the door, you ring them up?
Knock on door. That's the only thing I knew, and that's the only thing
that's what I was really good at.
Yeah, good at.
Break it down.
So you literally just knock on a childcare center and ask for the owner or the boss or something?
Yeah, the childcare center manager, and I'm like, hey, by the way, this is what we're offering. Do you have people who are willing to get this qualification? All right, this is how it's going to benefit them. This is how it's going to help them. But to be honest with you, over there as well, they never give you a chance to speak. But after hustling for almost a month or two, you start seeing some few patterns. Okay, if I knock between 12:30 to 2:30 when the kids are sleeping in a childcare center, that's the time when they have time as well. Whereas I'm knocking at 8 o'clock in the morning when the parents are dropping the kids, or if I'm trying to knock at around 3 or 3:30 when they're picking up the kids, no one wants to speak to you. Yeah. So you start seeing patterns and you're like, okay, if I knock at this particular time, that's when I think so I'll get people to speak with me.
So how much was these? I just want to get to the real reality of that.
Yep.
Because I've done it. I've done the door-to-door trying to sell text message marketing, and I've done the same thing, and I figured out the same thing. You got to go at the right time, retail businesses, all that, right? So how much was the course? How much commission did you make on it? Yep. And what were the metrics in the first 3 months?
Yeah.
Month 1, month 2, month 3.
100%. The courses were between $2,000 to $2,500, depending on what course. Is it a certificate 3 or a diploma or an advanced at diploma level kind of a course? But the challenge was people didn't understand the need of getting them. Okay. That's when I started exploring a few things about the marketing stuff as well. So how it happened was when I first started selling, because I had paid off most of the student loan as well. And I had to almost start from scratch again. And I could see that this was another straight commission selling. And I had to use my credit cards at that time. And I still remember, and I had moved from Melbourne to Gold Coast as well at that time. I had to get a new place to rent and all those kind of things. And the main challenge is sometimes we usually don't get paid until the student finish the course as well. Wow. Because they go on a payment plan. They pay $250 deposit and then they go on a $100 per week kind of a payment plan. But until they don't finish the entire course, we don't get paid completely. And they had reached a point where I had maxed out my credit card. It's $14,000 gone, done. And I had to apply for another credit card to max out that credit card as well. And it was such a close thing. I think so it was almost like 2 students finished their course. And we got around 25% as the commission for that. And I was able to pay off that minimum payment that you need to keep your credit card alive.
In the first month?
No, it was almost the 3rd month. Because it takes almost 3 months for people to pay off the fees sometimes.
So this is a $3,000 course. You get 25% commission, which is $750. You had 2 of them finish in 3 months.
Yeah.
So you made $1,500 in 3 months.
And I called the credit card company and I negotiated with them. They're like, okay, you know what? I have $1,500. I'm going to pay that. Can you keep my credit card still active?
And then what? So
they said,
where did you go from there? Moving on from the credit card, where did you go from there?
I started seeing a pattern. That's when it started getting a belief in me. You know what? If I can sell 2 courses, I can sell 20. If I can sell 20, I can sell 200.
You remind me of that guy, like Dumb and Dumber, where you remember Dumb and Dumber, where he says, what are the chances of a girl like you fall for a guy like me? And she goes, oh my God, like 1 in a million. He goes, so there's a chance. Right? So you're like, oh my God, I'm starting to get the belief because I did 2 completed sales in 3 months. You're a savage, man. Yeah. So what happened then? So you had 2 sales and then you most of us, the belief would be, I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah, I'm shit.
I'm 2 credit cards in the hole. I'm fucking out of here. You're like, all right, I'm game on now. So what happened from there?
From then onwards, I could start seeing as well which were those centers that would be more willing to buy those courses. And then what I did was I started collecting testimonials from these people who were finishing those courses. Okay, like as simple as just maybe connecting them through a text message or asking them to do a video testimonial as well. And that's where it came down to the power of asking. I used to be so afraid to even ask for testimonials. But I used to go and tell them, hey, by the way, Christine, you finished the course with us. How was your experience? Would you mind just speaking about it? I can just open my phone and just start shooting a quick video so that it can impact other people as well. And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it for 30 seconds. And yeah, I used to just start showing that. And that's when the marketing aspect of it started building. Because I knew that in the few beginnings, sales was the only thing. Hustle, 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 hustle. And once you start seeing some momentum, that's when I started to work on my marketing skills as well.
So what happened from there? From the next 3 months, what happened?
Yeah, I was able to sell the courses, but I could see that I couldn't scale.
Yes.
Because I was the one who was doing the paperwork. All right. I was the one who was interacting with the trainers. I'm like a one-man army. But the goals did not match my output because I wanted to build a 7-figure business. And at that time, I had even kept a goal to join Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. And for you to join Entrepreneurs Organization, you need to make around 1 million US or 1.5 million Australian. And that used to drive me a lot. I used to put the pictures of Entrepreneurs Organization logo on my vision board. I used to wake up, visualize everything. But there was a massive gap from your goal to where you want to go. And that gap was building a team, okay, learning marketing, these skills.
And so this is where you started Scale X.
Yes.
So you're still doing this door-to-door selling of these courses and you and your business partner.
Yep.
And then you decide, right, if we need to get outsourcing
Yes.
to support what we're doing, the paperwork and bookwork and everything. So you started outsourcing this stuff
Yes.
and then realized, oh my God, this is what we should be selling door to door. Is that sort of the journey?
Yeah, big time. And also with this particular courses thing, the market is limited only to Australia.
Yeah.
Whereas with the outsourcing aspect of it, it's limited, it's unlimited. You can sell in US, you can sell in UK, Canada, Australia, everywhere. And for me as well, my core belief is entrepreneurs are sometimes the only people who can change the world. You can still be employed and you can have an entrepreneurial mindset. By that, what I mean to say that is taking ownership, making things happen, all right, moving the needle. And somehow I could feel that purpose in me to really help entrepreneurs. And that's how we started as well. We just started like mentoring a few people. And some of the businesses were scaling so much more profitably. And even to this day, what we do is with some of our clients, at the end of every month, we send them an email. If they had a current staff here in Australia or in US locally, how much money they would have spent extra.
This is great, but I want to keep drilling in on the practical here.
Yes.
Right? Because the person listening to this is going, okay, so you're selling door to door these courses. I get it. And you're starting this outsourcing business and you said you're mentoring. How do you get a mentoring client? How do you start an outsourcing company selling offshore staff? I want to go, you're unconsciously competent at what you're doing. I'm trying to get you down to when you are just starting, how do you start that? What do you call it?
Yeah, where do you find them?
Where do you find these? But you're not, let me guess, you knock on the door. But you knock at the door and you say, hey, it's Darshan, is that, how did you build the outsourcing business and you're running, I guess, both of them for a bit?
Yep.
And what's the business model? So you're training people in the Philippines and I guess you're buying people at one price and selling them at another. It's a crude way of saying it.
It again comes down to the people that you're working with. And one of the training organizations we were working with, all right, they were having massive issues in scaling. All right.
Okay, so this is where you got your first customers.
Yes.
It's the training organizations
Exactly.
that you were selling their products.
Yeah. And they were like, wow, you're doing a way better job than us.
Again, this is what I mean. It's more
Random chance, but being open to it.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, but your ability to tell them the benefits of it as well. And to be honest with you, it's just walking the walk, and they could see us as well, how better we were in the operations, the systems and everything. And they're like, what are you guys doing? How are you doing it? And we're like, man, we have an amazing remote team, and the quality of talent we have over there is amazing. They're like, okay, can you teach me about this remote thing stuff? And that's how it started. All right, we start teaching more people.
So what kind of people were you placing and training for them? Are they administrators, accounting? What are they?
Usually customer support and admin, because usually the students used to have so many questions, but the trainers could not answer them, and the students used to pull out of the courses. And when we started providing them more virtual assistants, or maybe even an executive assistance to a trainer, amazing support. And they could see most of their headaches, their pain points come down so much more. And more importantly, they were more happier to get more people, the training companies, because they did not have to worry about PAYG, no super, no fair work, nothing as such. They're like, wow.
And how much are they paying for one of your staff, and how much would they be paying in Australia for that staff? And then how much are you paying for the staff?
Yeah. For the staff in Australia, they would pay anywhere between 4 to 6 grand. And the one in Philippines
Per month.
Aussie dollars.
They're paying 4 to 6 grand Aussie a month.
Yep.
Plus.
Plus super, plus vacation leave,
Sick
whatever
days
it
plus
might be.
drama.
Yeah.
Food in the fridge,
Everything.
pee on the toilet seat.
Correct.
Okay, so 4
and
to
here
6.
they pay, it depends on the quality of the staff, anywhere between 2.5 to 3 grand, including everything.
So you're
Everything is in a package.
halving their salary cost.
Big time.
And how much are you paying?
We pay anywhere between $1,000 to $1,300.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
depending
then
on
you've got to recruit and train. And
Yeah,
do
we
that.
gotta
So
recruit.
it's basically you're marking up 100%, they're saving 50%, so everybody's winning.
Yes.
And your employees have got a great job.
Yeah. They're pretty grateful as well. And since they get to sometimes work from home as well, it's kind of, we offer a blended system where people, if they want to, they can work from home. And currently what's happening is in the overseas market, the high level talent, A-player talent want to work from home.
So you've got 80 of these people out there working that you're marking up at those sorts of rates, which is phenomenal. So you got a workforce. So the businesses are paying you, and you're then just paying the salaries out to them, right?
Yeah.
But that's the difference though. It's not just a recruitment company, right? And a normal recruitment company, you go and you pay them, okay, 10 grand, you place them, you hire them, they're your employee directly, you control them from there. Every so often, the recruitment company is going to call them every 6 months to make sure they're happy because they want to pinch them to go and get the 10 grand and sell them to someone else. Whereas you have full control. So you actually hire the employee yourself.
Yeah. It's a full managed service as well.
Full managed, yeah.
Yeah. So Eric, we were having a chat, like it's a very competitive industry. Like, every mom and dad person can start an outsourcing business. And we could see that in the very beginning. Okay, there were people who were giving staff for $5 an hour, $6 an hour. And I've had experience hiring those staff as well. But a very crucial thing happened in our business. So what we did was, even with the courses business, we started identifying the top 10% cream of the crop A-players talent. Okay, and when we started going through them, and for 2 months we profiled them. Who are these people who are performing at the highest potential, who show up to work, get shit done, and absolutely over-deliver on it? And when we went through those profiling, we could see that usually in the disc profiling as well, they were either high D or low C, or high C, low D. And they were usually above the age group of 30, and usually women, okay, either married or having a kid, and they have some kind of an obligation or some kind of a commitment. Because when you need to work remotely, you really can't micromanage people. It just doesn't work, all right, in a scaling mindset, but they have something to lose. Okay, it can be a mortgage, it can be a school fee for that kid. And when we could see that, wow, you know what? We can really provide high level talent at still an affordable rate to the business owners over here, where you don't need to pay just $1,000 because you're already paying 5 grand here. Why don't you pay a little bit more to get an exceptional talent who comes to work, who doesn't need more micromanaging because they're internally driven more.
So again, your biggest mess becomes your biggest message. You're over in India making $3 an hour. For some people, they're like, oh, that's a disaster. But it's actually the foundation of your success today is having been there, you can empathize with the reality of people in these countries. Having worked in large corporates, you understand the importance of culture. You understand the importance of recognition. And so an Aussie starting this wouldn't have the same level of understanding and empathy that you do with these.
Yeah.
And along the way, took all your learnings trying to sell products to other companies who were having problems. Like it seems like every step of the way you've taken your learnings and they just keep compounding upon one another to create what you can continue to keep creating.
Yeah. Because for me as well, I can see that sometimes it might look to us that, okay, we're just paying 2 grand, all right, or maybe $13, $14 an hour or whatever it might be. But to be honest with you, people over there, they still lead an exceptional life. I have one of my sales manager, all right. Currently, she has a nanny, a house cleaner, and a cook. And I'm like, man, you lead an amazing, stunning life than me over here. Okay. So it might look pretty small money for us, but it's not like a sweatshop. They still live an amazing life.
I had a girl work for me in my text message marketing business, the one I was selling door to door. Her name was Mary Vedra in Philippines. And I used to pay her, I think, 3 grand a month or something. And in her village, they had floods and she couldn't work, and I bought a generator for her. And she ran half the town. She was like little where she lived. her having a job at that level of money was huge for her. And it's the point, she was exactly that profile. She was a single mom. She worked so hard, was so loyal, and it made a huge difference.
So why aren't all businesses using your level of service, right? Where's the misalignment? Where's the disconnect from Australian businesses going, no, I'll still pay the person 80 grand here because I can see them, I can, have control over them, versus paying someone, $1,000 or $2,000 a month. Well, why the misalignment? Where are those barriers to entry?
There are a few of them, because when I do my market research as well, it usually comes down to the limiting beliefs of the business owner. Okay, the first and foremost one, which I sometimes hear is, oh, it's very compliant driven. My work cannot be outsourced. All right. For me, I used to have that as well before when I used to do the training company courses. But one of my mentors broke my limiting pattern. He said, Westpac's outsource. All right. ANZ, IBM. Yeah. ANZ has one of the biggest buildings in India as well. ANZ outsource. Forget that. Department of Immigration outsources to Thailand. Is your data way more protected than ANZ, Westpac, and Department of Immigration? And that was like a tight slap for me. I'm like, this is a bullshit belief I'm having over self, trying to safeguard myself from taking that risk, taking that challenge. So that's what sometimes business owners just get caught up in that loop. Oh, my data is safe, my data is secure. There are certain measures that we usually take, all right, to make sure the data is secure and everything. And second challenge, what I say is, like, some people might have just given it a go, but they're not really committed to it. They're like, oh, let me try this outsourcing thing. Does it work? Does it not work? But they really don't have the right systems and procedures. Whereas with us, what we do is we really help business owners build that process, build that system as well. And the most important thing is, managing a remote team is so much more different than leading an in-house team. So most people miss that gap as well.
Yeah. Look, I for all Aussie entrepreneurs, and I hate to say this, but it is really, really hard to make money in this country as a small business. Really hard. You've either got to be really big, or you've got to be quite small and running it yourself. But when you're in that middle ground, it's really hard to be profitable. Yeah. And so, and people can say, oh, you're outsourcing jobs, this and that. I can tell you that a successful entrepreneur in this country, even if they're outsourcing some of the staff, still creates more tax revenue and support for the country. Like I just paid my taxes this year, and I can tell you I paid more in tax than most people will pay in their life who are in a job.
Yeah, and Adam, just to add that as well, we have a lot of businesses who supplement their current team over here, especially some of the leadership team or even people who are high-level team. What they do is they get someone from overseas without you don't need to get rid of people over here. But what they can do is your onshore team can focus on the really high-value tasks, like a $200, $300 hour tasks. Okay, and they can delegate the lower level tasks to people in remote team so that they can take off all those work and it can still help you in scaling your business.
We need Australian small businesses to thrive, and it requires part of it being outsourced. But being open, guys, it's doing what Dash is doing. It's embracing AI. It's bringing all of these things together, because your imperative as an entrepreneur is to be profitable. You won't survive.
And you've painted a pretty interesting and clear step-by-step process to your success as being an entrepreneur. You've kind of gone from that random chance or idea to the focus on sales. We've got to get the sale. Then at a point you realized we got to go beyond sales. We have to do marketing, because that's how you scale sales. And then you ran into the challenge of team and systems. So you built the team and systems. And that's your formula for scaling. It's idea, sales, marketing, team and systems equals scaling. And then you built a business showing people how to scale.
And lay it over the top, having no excuses about being Indian in a country, removal of all that stuff, and just like cheering for yourself the whole way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have the brag book. And for those of you who are listening to this, one of the greatest ways to build self-esteem that I know of that requires no money is to start with what you can control, and that is your physical body. Start controlling what you put in your mouth from a food and drink point of view, and start with controlling what you physically do with your body every day. And if you can consistently start there with stop drinking, stop eating the shit, start doing push-ups or going to work, just start with one push-up and then tomorrow do 2, and then next day do 3. Every one of those little micro actions are a vote for the future you, right? And if you keep keeping promises to yourself, you will become the kind of person that you respect. But people lose respect for themselves and have low self-esteem because they know that they're full of shit and they don't keep simple promises to themselves on a consistent basis. And that is how you change your life. And so, Darsh, you've been getting up every day, doing the work, 18-hour days, 20-hour days, 3 months to make 2 sales where you got $750 a sale. You earned it.
Yeah.
And that's where the confidence really comes from, is because nobody gave you shit except your parents gave you, the money to get in here. But after that, you earned it. And so,
and just to touch on the subject as well, it's so important that you told about the best way to start is from your body, your physical fitness. And that was a massive thing for me, because I used to love food, being an Indian. You just love eat all the time. And for me, the biggest discipline I had to build was in my own body. Okay. And like currently as well, I'm just doing a 45 days ice bath challenge. Okay. Where I just want to make sure that for the 45 days, I don't have any hot showers at all. I just keep having ice cold water every day, bath on it with ice cubes and everything. But it just builds in so much confidence in you. It's the step by step thing that you add and you control your internal body. It's unbelievable how it has a ripple cascading effects on other areas of your life as well.
It is so powerful because you get in that bath and you're like, get out. And you're like, fuck that. Yeah. I'm staying. Yeah. And that's a vote for I'm stronger than you.
There's so much science out there about how it affects your neurotransmitters in your brain and your dopamine
Goggins did some amazing stuff on it.
It's incredible.
Absolutely. So start with what you can control, people, because if you can't control those basic things, and there's no excuse for controlling what you put in your mouth, deciding to intermittent fast if you need to lose weight, it's literally free, right? Going for a walk is literally free. Yeah. Everyone's got a smartphone. Count your steps. Do your 10,000 steps. The only reason you don't have confidence is because you're not making regular votes for the future you.
What would you say to Darshan in 2009, 2010 in India right now, knowing what you know, and obviously the last 15 years of this journey that you've been on? What would you tell that person? Yes. There's a lot of people in that situation listening to this.
Big time. For me, it just blows my mind, and it's so relevant to the quote. You overestimate what you can do in an year and underestimate what you can do in a decade. And I'm just looking back, the life currently I'm living is a dream. Okay. And going back to where I started from, what has happened, but just having the confidence in yourself. And more importantly, adding value to people. Okay, money is secondary, because if you add more value to people, it's just unbelievable what results you're going to get in life. Okay, and then just going for the no is so important, because we are so programmed to always get the yes. And then to this date as well, even after scaling like businesses, we lose so much money in ads. We lose so much money sometimes in hiring, all right? Because we are all imperfect people, right? But just being okay in losing, going for the no, plays such a big role, because everyone wants to succeed all the time, but it just rarely happens. Okay, that's that your perception, what do you associate to losing, be it your face, your money, whatever it might be. It's so important to go for the no all the time.
I love that. Darsh, we could talk all day with you, but we're up. We've got another guest coming in shortly to record. Mate, I love that closing piece. Again, in our coaching, we see it all the time. People are afraid of hearing the no or afraid of failure. It is part of the journey. It is unavoidable. It is going to happen. And with you, you're like, dude, go to door-to-door sales and you'll get 50 no's in the first day, 50 no's the second day. And then after a while, it's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm not going to die from this.
It's like having an ice bath.
Yeah. It's all the same.
Yeah. Do hard things.
Do hard things consistently, things that stretch you, things that push you. Darsh, you're really inspiring, man. And congrats on getting to $1 million net profit in 10 years, basically, since you came to this country with nothing but your mum and dad's money to go to college, and paid mum and dad back, built a multi-million-dollar business that's netting 7 figures. And I hope for anybody listening to this, this is really reaching you, because I know right now there's people listening on planes, there's people on boats, there's people on their way to work. Just the thought that you can come to this country with just to go and study, and then 10 years later you can make twice what the Prime Minister makes with, being Indian as a second language, and all the cultural things you would have had to overcome. So stoked, and I love talking to Australians like you and people who come out here and make the most of it in this country, create work and jobs and all the things that you do to stimulate growth in this country, which is great. More courses being sold, more students up-leveling, it's so powerful.
And just remember that headline, from $3 an hour to $1 million profit a year.
Yeah, there it is.
From $3 an hour to 400. Just call Darshan.
160x your income from when you landed. Amazing stuff.
Thanks so much.
Darsh, where can people follow you?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So yeah, it's just my first name and last name, Darshan Chavan. Okay. And I usually connect with people a lot over there. Happy to help them out as well. Even if they have any questions on building remote teams or what can be done, what's the potential available, just reach out to me. I'm here to have a chat all the time.
Darshan Chavan, and we'll put that up on the screen. And I do a little bit of Instagram as well, right?
Yes, I do.
Darshan, is it Chavan?
Yeah.
Darshan Chavan.
And what's the website?
Scale-x.biz.
Scale-x.biz.
Yeah. But reach out to me. I would be able to help you out way much more easier.
Yeah.
Still in control of the sales, huh?
All the time. You're the first salesperson.
Just don't give him your address because he might knock on your door.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, it's so good to be here as well. Thanks so much, Mark, Adam, and Eric, to have me over here.
You're a gentleman.
I'm just so punched because, the effect that you're having on business owners and entrepreneurs is just unbelievable. So I just feel blessed being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're grateful as well.
Guys, thank you for watching. Please, as always, drop a comment below. Let Darshan know what you thought of the episode and us. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And just a reminder, if you want to get around a community of entrepreneurs, Darshan's part of our coaching group. There are a bunch of people like Darshan with multi-7 and 8-figure businesses. We have everyone from a 25-year-old guy from Brisbane who's got a mullet, who's a self-made millionaire out of real estate, completely from nothing, all the way through to guys that have got businesses like Darshan, multi-millionaire real estate guys. And if you want to come every Monday night and hang out with these guys in our private coaching and get one-on-one coaching like we do, we're working with Darshan a bunch of areas in his business, go to unemployable.com.au/coaching and you can learn more there. It's a really great program for the right people. So
you enjoying it?
Absolutely. So much more fun. Every time I have a chat with you guys, it's just a new level of breakthrough that happens for me.
Yeah. You've always invested in information and knowledge, which is why you're progressing so quick. So I look at your business and I can see massive scope. As I said to you, I've got a very, very close friend. One of my best friends has an outsourcing business like you. He's got 3,000 employees placed out there in the marketplace. Sri Lankan guy, and came here, same thing, with nothing, built it up. So the big things ahead for you, man. And we can't wait to see you on the rich list. Yeah,
very soon.
I have no doubt. All right, guys, thanks for watching Unemployable. Share the pod, share the love. Have a beautiful week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.